Ladies and gentlemen, seekers of truth, wisdom, and the mysteries that surround our very existence, today we stand on a threshold between ancient prophecy and modern awareness. Edgar Cayce, often referred to as the sleeping prophet, left behind a trail of astonishing insights, visions, and revelations. Among his many prophecies, one curious and often overlooked statement involves a creature that shares our homes, our hearts, and, possibly, our spiritual energy: cats. Cayce once spoke cryptically but profoundly about cats, describing them as not just animals but as protectors of energy, guardians of spiritual gateways, and even silent healers of the soul. And today, as science edges closer to validating what ancient wisdom has always hinted at, we are witnessing something Cayce foresaw: a shift in our recognition of cats' deeper purpose in our lives. Now, take that vision and combine it with the modern clarity and disciplined thought of Shi Heng Yi, a Shaolin master whose wisdom reminds us that everything is connected: the body, the mind, the spirit, and even the seemingly mundane presence of a purring cat. Edgar Cayce, the renowned American mystic, left behind thousands of trance readings that touched on a wide range of topics, from medicine and reincarnation to Atlantis and energy healing. Among these prophecies, there lies an intriguing insight often overlooked by mainstream audiences: his unique perspective on cats and their role in the energetic and spiritual well-being of human beings. Cayce didn't refer to cats as ordinary household pets. In his readings, he spoke of cats as subtle energy protectors, beings that naturally gravitate toward energy fields in need of balance or purification. He described how cats absorb and transmute negative energy within a household, helping to stabilize emotional turbulence and even guarding against unseen spiritual disturbances. Cayce's words suggest that these animals are not merely passive companions, they are intentional participants in the human energetic ecosystem. To understand this more deeply, one must consider Cayce's view of human beings as multidimensional entities composed of body, mind, and spirit. In this model, just as our physical bodies are vulnerable to bacteria or toxins, our energetic bodies are susceptible to disturbances such as emotional residue, psychic stress, and even lower vibrational influences. Cayce believed cats have an inherent sensitivity to these disturbances. Their affinity for specific spaces in the home, their seemingly random movements, or their tendency to sit or sleep beside a particular person are not coincidental behaviors but guided by energetic impulses. In Cayce's framework, cats are like tuning forks, attuned to subtle vibrations and responsive to frequencies beyond the average human perception. When a cat chooses to rest near you or suddenly becomes alert to a specific area of the room, Cayce would interpret this not as random behavior, but as a deliberate act of energy regulation. These creatures, he suggested, were intuitive navigators of the invisible world, helping to dispel what he called psychic congestion and emotional imbalances that could linger unseen but deeply felt. Furthermore, Cayce hinted that people who are spiritually receptive, emotionally sensitive, or energetically open often attract cats naturally. This isn't just affection, it's resonance. The cat senses an alignment, a shared frequency, and responds by offering its quiet but powerful presence. This connection isn't just for comfort. It is, in essence, a form of spiritual assistance. Today, as modern individuals grow more attuned to concepts like auras, chakras, and energetic fields, Cayce's statements appear strikingly prophetic. He seemed to foresee a time when people would move beyond rigid materialism and begin to accept that healing and protection can also come from sources that science cannot yet fully quantify. Cats, with their ancient lineage, meditative stillness, and mysterious gaze, embody the bridge between this ancient spiritual knowledge and modern energetic awareness. Shi Heng Yi, a highly respected Shaolin monk and teacher of internal martial arts and mindfulness, speaks often about one of the most powerful tools available to us, awareness. According to his philosophy, awareness is not just about observing the external world. It is the capacity to sense, understand, and consciously interact with the energy that surrounds and moves through everything. From the breath we take to the emotions we feel, from the space we inhabit to the people and beings we share it with, awareness is the beginning of transformation. Shi Heng Yi teaches that becoming truly aware means more than just seeing. It means perceiving beyond the limits of logic or form. This is where his wisdom intersects beautifully with the mysterious role that Edgar Cayce attributed to cats. Where Cayce spoke of cats as energetic guardians, Shi Heng Yi urges us to become guardians of our own internal environment, to understand that what we allow into our minds and hearts affects not only our mood, but the vibrational quality of our entire presence. He often illustrates this through nature-based metaphors. Imagine walking into a room and immediately feeling discomfort, or sensing tension when someone enters even before a word is spoken. These aren't coincidences, they're signals. Shi Heng Yi teaches that we must train ourselves to notice these subtle energies, just as a martial artist notices the shift in an opponent's stance. Being aware of the unseen is a discipline, not a superstition. It is about reading the environment not just with your eyes, but with your whole being. In this framework, animals, especially cats, become mirrors and messengers. They act on what they sense, not on what is said. A cat doesn't wait for permission to move away from bad energy. It moves. It doesn't second, guess its instincts, or rationalize its discomfort. It simply responds. Shi Heng Yi believes that this is the kind of natural intelligence and intuitive clarity we, too, can cultivate. He often reminds his students that energy is always being exchanged. Every place we go, every object we touch, every person we meet, these interactions either raise or lower our vibrational state. This is why mindfulness is not just a practice on the meditation mat, it is a way of living. It's why cats, who are constantly tuning in to subtle changes in the environment, can serve as powerful examples. They remind us to slow down, to become sensitive again, and to act from an inner sense of balance. Shi Heng Yi doesn't encourage blind belief in mystical concepts. Instead, he teaches us to experience the truth of energy through practice, discipline, and inner stillness. Just as the Shaolin monks learn to channel their internal power for strength and clarity, so too can we begin to sense the subtle shifts around us, those same shifts that cats are already aware of. In this way, awareness is not a luxury. It is the foundation of self-mastery. It is the difference between reacting unconsciously and responding from a place of depth, purpose, and presence. By heightening awareness, we open ourselves to a richer, more intuitive understanding of the world, a world in which the presence of a cat at your side may not just be comforting, but deeply significant. In many spiritual traditions across the world, whether it be ancient Egypt, East Asia, philosophy, or native mysticism, cats have long been regarded as sacred, not just for their grace and independence, but for their stillness, intuition, and enigmatic presence. When we examine their behavior through the lens of meditation and mindfulness, we begin to see why both Edgar Cayce and teachers like Shi Heng Yi acknowledge their deeper role. Cats are more than companions. They are living embodiments of meditation itself. Think for a moment about how a cat behaves in a calm space. It does not rush. It does not multitask. It finds a quiet corner, stretches slowly, and rests fully. Every motion is deliberate, flowing, and silent. This is exactly what mindfulness teaches us: to be present in the moment, to move with awareness, and to let go of unnecessary tension. In this way, cats model the very essence of meditative stillness. They are masters of presence, and unlike humans, they do not struggle with distractions or overthinking. Shi Heng Yi often emphasizes the value of sitting in silence, not to escape the world, but to observe it more deeply. When we sit in meditation, we are trying to return to our natural state, a state free from chaos, noise, and emotional turbulence. Now consider what happens when a cat joins you during this practice. Many people have noticed that cats are drawn to meditative energy. They will sit near you, sometimes on your lap, or curl beside you in complete silence. It's not just affection, it's resonance. Your quiet mind and their quiet spirit vibrate in harmony. The connection is subtle but powerful. Edgar Cayce hinted that this is not a coincidence. He believed cats are drawn to spiritual energy and that their presence can help stabilize the meditative state. They act almost like energetic tuning devices, grounding the energy in the room and absorbing any psychic or emotional disturbances that may arise during inner work. This idea might sound mystical, but it aligns closely with the energetic sensitivity that Shi Heng Yi teaches, that when you go inward, you stir not only peace, but also the hidden layers of your own psyche. The presence of a grounded being, like a cat, can assist in holding that space. In monastic or spiritual settings, there is an appreciation for external symbols that anchor us to the present moment, be it a candle, a breath, a mantra. Cats, without trying, become one of those anchors. Their deep gaze, often fixed at something invisible to us, serves as a silent reminder to look beyond the surface. Their stillness invites us to be still. Their instincts draw attention to shifts in energy that we may not yet notice, and their patience teaches us the art of waiting without anxiety, of being without needing. Mindfulness is not about forcing comments, about noticing what is already there beneath the mental noise. Cats embody this principle. They do not force anything, they respond, they listen more than they act, they observe more than they speak. In many ways, they live as we are taught to meditate, fully present, deeply aware, and peacefully detached. So, when a cat chooses to be near you in your silent moments, understand that this is more than coincidence. It is a reflection of inner alignment, a sign that your presence has become attuned to a frequency of peace. It shows that your stillness is not only felt within you, but recognized by nature itself. While Edgar Cayce's insights were often spiritual or metaphysical in nature, the modern scientific community is gradually beginning to recognize the physiological and psychological impact that cats have on human well-being. What was once labeled as mystical is now entering the realm of measurable, observable phenomena, particularly in the fields of neuroscience, behavioral psychology, and vibrational medicine. One of the most fascinating aspects of this modern validation lies in the frequency of a cat's purr. Research shows that when a cat purrs, it produces sound frequencies that typically range between 25 and 150 Hz, frequencies that are scientifically associated with healing and regeneration. In clinical studies, exposure to these frequencies has been linked to reduced inflammation, increased bone density, muscle repair, and even the acceleration of tissue healing. In fact, some orthopedic researchers and sports scientists are exploring the therapeutic potential of low-frequency sound vibrations for physical recovery, frequencies that cats naturally generate just by sitting contentedly beside us. But the healing influence of cats extends far beyond the physical. Emotionally and psychologically, the presence of a cat has been found to significantly lower cortisol levels, reduce anxiety, and increase the production of serotonin and oxytocin, hormones associated with happiness, bonding, and emotional regulation. For individuals who struggle with PTSD, chronic stress, depression, or loneliness, the simple act of stroking a cat or listening to its rhythmic purring can create a profound sense of safety, grounding, and inner calm. From Cayce's spiritual lens, cats were energetic absorbers, beings that could cleanse and stabilize the human aura. Today, scientists are echoing this in another form. They now describe how cats serve as emotional regulators, providing non-verbal judgment, free companionship that engages the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of the brain responsible for rest, recovery, and emotional balance. Unlike humans, who may offer love but also criticism, cats offer presence without condition. Their quiet companionship and calm demeanor provide a mirror of stillness that encourages us to slow down, breathe, and let go. Psychologists and animal behaviorists have also observed that cats tend to attach themselves to individuals experiencing emotional or energetic distress. This aligns remarkably well with Cayce's assertion that cats are drawn to people in need of healing, not just emotionally, but energetically. Some hospitals and therapy centers now employ therapy cats as part of their mental health protocols, and the feedback has been extraordinary. Patients report feeling calmer, more emotionally open, and more supported in the presence of these animals. Shi Heng Yi might not express these observations in scientific terms, but his teachings align perfectly with their essence. He emphasizes the importance of returning to a natural state of harmony and reducing internal conflict. Cats, as modern science is now discovering, are powerful facilitators of that very process. They don't just accompany us. They assist in rebalancing our nervous systems, subtly guiding us back to a state of calm, clarity, and connection. What makes this especially profound is that cats do this without training, without conscious intention, and without agenda. Their healing is not forced, it is intrinsic. And in a world filled with overstimulation, constant stress, and emotional noise, the silent healing of a cat may be exactly the kind of medicine we need. One of the most intriguing and universally shared experiences among cat owners is the peculiar, almost mystical behavior of their feline companions. Cats stare into empty corners, avoid specific spaces, follow unseen movements with their eyes, or suddenly relocate from one area of a room to another without any apparent reason. To a casual observer, these actions may seem random or odd, but through the lens of Edgar Cayce's teachings and the disciplined insight of Shi Heng Yi, these behaviors may be deeply intentional and energetic in nature. Cayce proposed that cats are not simply domesticated pets. They are attuned beings capable of sensing and interacting with invisible energy fields. He believed that spaces, whether rooms, homes, or even people, retain and accumulate energy over time. Some of this energy is positive, such as joy, love, or peace, but other energies, stress, grief, anger, fear, can become stagnant or even harmful if not released or transmuted. According to Cayce, cats are instinctively drawn to these disturbances, not to flee from them, but to cleanse and stabilize them. From this perspective, the cat's unexplained staring into a corner may not be due to imagination or boredom. It could be a response to a subtle frequency shift, a spiritual presence, or an energetic residue that we as humans cannot perceive with our ordinary senses. Their reluctance to enter a certain room might not reflect fear, but awareness of something energetically misaligned. Cayce believed that cats often choose to lie down in areas where there's dense emotional energy, not for comfort, but to absorb, neutralize, and redistribute that energy in a more harmonious form. Shi Heng Yi approaches this phenomenon differently, but with surprising compatibility. In his teachings, he emphasizes awareness of inner and outer space. He often describes how even spaces that appear visually calm can feel energetically overwhelming due to the emotional imprint left by past events. While humans tend to rationalize or ignore their intuitive discomfort, cats operate on pure energetic instinct. They react immediately, without hesitation, to what they sense. Shi Heng Yi would argue that this is a form of natural wisdom, unclouded, uncorrupted, and unfiltered by mental noise. When a cat abruptly leaves your lap, sits atop a specific object, or circles a room before settling, it is engaging with energy in a deliberate way. Cayce suggested that cats, especially when attached to a particular person, serve as filters for that individual's emotional and spiritual fluctuations. They remain near when their presence is most needed, and they disappear when their work energetic absorption is complete. Some cats even appear to patrol their homes, moving from room to room in a silent, watchful manner, which Cayce described as a form of subtle surveillance to maintain energetic equilibrium. This is why cats are often found near individuals who are grieving, depressed, or spiritually seeking. They sense the imbalance, and they offer themselves as stabilizers. This behavior also explains why some cats avoid certain guests or retreat from environments that feel energetically polluted. It is not judgment or fear, it is discernment. Their natural sensitivity to vibration makes them excellent indicators of what is aligned and what is disturbed. And just as these creatures seem to cleanse the environment, they also have the uncanny ability to help reset human energy. Their presence, their purring, their warmth, these aren't just soothing in an emotional sense. They are literally helping to bring your nervous system, your mental state, and your spiritual energy back into balance. When a cat chooses to lie on your chest, curl at your feet, or nudge its head against your forehead, it is participating in a silent but profound energetic exchange, one that many believe is rooted in ancient memory and spiritual service. The mystery behind these behaviors is not so much that they exist, but that we've taken so long to recognize their depth, what was once dismissed as just cat behavior. Now, in light of Cayce's insights and the energetic philosophies shared by practitioners like Shi Heng Yi, appears to be a language of the unseen, a form of energy work carried out not with rituals or chants, but with soft pause, unblinking eyes, and quiet, constant presence. Throughout history, cats have been deeply embedded in mythologies and spiritual systems around the world, often seen as mysterious, magical beings with the ability to move between worlds, the physical and the spiritual. From the ancient temples of Egypt, where they were revered as divine protectors, to Japanese folklore, where they serve as spiritual guides, cats have long held a reputation as gatekeepers to hidden realms. Edgar Cayce's predictions echoed this ancient understanding, suggesting that cats not only sense, but also interact with energies beyond our material perception. Cayce believed that the universe is layered with dimensions, vibrational planes of existence that coexist with our own, but are not visible to the naked eye. He suggested that animals, particularly cats, possess a natural sensitivity to these vibrational layers, and that their behaviors often reflect encounters with energies, entities, or phenomena from these subtler realms. This is not merely poetic imagery. In his readings, Cayce spoke of cats as entities that have lived through many soul cycles and often choose to reincarnate alongside humans for a purpose, not out of dependency, but out of spiritual alliance. From this view, when a cat suddenly stares at an unseen presence, meows into an empty room, or refuses to enter a specific space, it could be actively responding to interdimensional fluctuations. The cat becomes a sensor and, at times, a protector, holding the threshold between the known and the unknown. ensuring that whatever moves through those unseen portals does not disturb the sacred balance of the home or the energy of its human companions. Shi Heng Yi, while more rooted in the practices of internal martial arts and meditative awareness, similarly acknowledges the concept of the unseen. In his teachings, he describes how true mastery is not just about controlling the physical world, but about recognizing and aligning with forces that lie beyond logic and visibility. In Eastern traditions, the concept of Kai or Kai life force energy encompasses more than just biological vitality. It includes spiritual frequencies, karmic residues, and environmental imprints that the human eye cannot detect, but which can be deeply felt by the awakened mind and body. Cats in this spiritual framework serve as natural practitioners of this wisdom. They don't study energy, they live in it. They do not theorize about dimensions. They move with instinct through vibrational shifts. Shi Heng Yi teaches his students to trust their inner eye, the intuition that arises from silence and stillness. Cats appear to operate from that place all the time. Their behaviors, when viewed with awakened perception, can be interpreted as responses to the unseen architecture of existence. In many homes, cats will frequently visit liminal spaces, doorways, windowsills, the tops of stairs, places that symbolically and energetically represent transitions between realms. These are not just preferred vantage points for a physical view. They may serve as guardposts where energy flows in and out. Many spiritual traditions believe that doorways are portals, not just in the physical sense, but as energetic openings, and cats instinctively place themselves there, as if to monitor or moderate what enters and exits. There are also countless anecdotal accounts from people who claim their cats reacted strongly during times of spiritual activity, be it seances, prayer, deep meditation, or the passing of a loved one. Some cats become agitated or alert, others become intensely calm and present, almost as if offering comfort or channeling peace from another plane. Cayce's perspective would affirm that these animals are not just reacting emotionally, but spiritually. They are tuned into realms we barely comprehend and are serving as silent gatekeepers, ensuring that energies remain balanced and protective forces stay close. The idea that cats serve this higher function isn't about mythology. It's about awakening to the possibility that the world is more complex, layered, and intelligent than we've been taught to believe. Cats, in this sense, are messengers, not necessarily bringing us information in language or symbols, but by embodying the balance between stillness and movement, between this world and the next. They live at the threshold, constantly walking between the ordinary and the extraordinary, sensing what we cannot see and guarding what we do not yet understand. One of the most subtle yet profound ideas shared by Edgar Cayce and echoed in many spiritual disciplines, including those taught by Shi Heng Yi, is the belief that animals, especially cats, act as mirrors to our inner world. While humans often look outward for feedback and validation, cats reflect what is happening within us, not with words or judgment, but with presence, behavior, and energy. Cayce described cats as sensitive instruments, attuned not just to the environment, but to the emotional and spiritual frequency of those around them. He emphasized that a cat's behavior often parallels the psychological or energetic state of its human companion. If a person is experiencing anxiety, grief, anger, or inner turmoil, the cat may act withdrawn, restless, or overly alert. On the other hand, when the human is calm, centered, and emotionally balanced, the cat mirrors that stillness with relaxed postures, slow blinks, or purring comfort. This sensitivity doesn't just make cats passive responders, it positions them as interactive feedback loops. When a cat avoids sitting near someone it once clung to, Cayce might interpret this as the animal gently signaling a disruption in that person's energy field. If a cat becomes unusually affectionate or persistent, it may be picking up on emotional wounds or spiritual needs that are bubbling just beneath the surface of awareness. They feel our stress before we voice it. They sense our loneliness before we speak of it. And sometimes they nudge us to pay attention not to them, but to ourselves. Shi Heng Yi often talks about the importance of self-awareness and internal clarity. In his martial arts and mindfulness teachings, he urges individuals to listen closely to their body, their breath, and their emotional state, not to fix them immediately, but to recognize and accept them fully. Cats, without saying a word, support this same lesson. Their reactions, where they choose to rest, when they approach us, how they interact, are all subtle cues pointing us inward. They reflect our vibrations, our moods, even the shadows we try to hide. Interestingly, this reflective ability goes both ways. Just as cats respond to our internal states, our own consciousness can shift in response to their presence. When a cat curls on your chest during a moment of sadness or sits beside you in silent companionship, it may not only be offering comfort, it could be showing you the possibility of returning to balance. It becomes a living reminder of what peace looks like, what stillness feels like, and what presence truly is. Cayce's view was that cats choose their companions with purpose. They are drawn to those whose energy they resonate with or whose healing they are meant to assist in. This belief reframes pet ownership from something transactional into something deeply spiritual. When a cat chooses to sit in your space day after day, it is not merely about routine or habit. It is a reflection of something deeper, something that connects your spirit to theirs. It's a soul-level recognition, an alignment of energies that transcends logic. In this way, cats teach us not by commanding our attention, but by subtly guiding us to observe our inner climate. If they withdraw, it might be time to ask ourselves, what am I holding on to? If they are unusually attentive, perhaps we need to pause and feel what we've been ignoring. Shi Heng Yi would say that awareness is the first key to transformation. Cats are natural awakeners of that awareness, not through intensity or urgency, but through gentle, wordless reminders that who we are inside is always being reflected back to us, by the world, by our actions, and yes, even by our animals. Cats don't try to fix us. They don't give advice or ask questions, but through their behavior, they continuously point us back to our own energy. They ask us to pay attention, to slow down, to observe. And in doing so, they become quiet guides, drawing us into a deeper understanding of ourselves. In a world consumed by noise, speed, and digital distractions, the presence of a silent, observing, deeply attuned creature, like a cat, becomes more than a comfort. It becomes a spiritual invitation. Edgar Cayce's predictions, once dismissed as mystical speculation, are now finding surprising validation through modern science, human experience, and the ancient teachings of masters like Shi Heng Yi. Cats are not just pets, they are companions, guardians, energetic mirrors, and soul allies. They sit quietly by our side as we unravel, heal, evolve, and rediscover balance. They guide us not with words, but with stillness. They protect not with force, but with presence, and they heal not with medicine, but with vibration, energy, and unconditional presence. As we awaken to the truth of who we are, fragile yet powerful, human yet divine, let us also awaken to the truth of what they are. The more we open ourselves to their subtle messages, the more we begin to hear the deeper truth they reflect, that everything is energy, everything is connected, and that healing often begins in silence. So, the next time your cat stares into the void, follows you with gentle persistence, or rests on your chest in your darkest hour, pause, listen, feel. That may just be the moment when the unseen becomes visible, when healing begins, and when the wisdom of the cosmos curls quietly at your feet.